Hey everybody, it's again Pyromancer slash Laptop Master with JSAT. We're going to bring you a dual commentary today of his True Solo White Weapons Cata run of Garden of More. So I know that when I was watching JSAT's True Solo videos, often I'm wondering what's going on behind the curtain, so to speak. So I'm going to try to prompt him to show us what he's thinking about as we get through this run.
You good to go?
I'm good to go. I'll start mine in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I guess I just make the note that a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about is transferable to more party-based play, but some of it really isn't, just because you can control your positioning so much more independently as a solo. There's no communication gap, which keeps you from doing more sophisticated moves. Alright, so one of the things that's really, really important, and you learn from long experience, is pathing. You skip these chests to your left even if you get really, really bad initial items. And one of the reasons you do it is how many Storm Vermins tend to spawn over to the left. Um, Especially for white weapons, Storm Vermins are awful. They take forever to take out. It's 3 charged attacks and another headshot to take them out. And the other big issue is hordes are kind of on a timer. So if you go up there, there's a really good chance you're going to get a horde before you get to the spot right here. And the spot right to our right is a great holdout spot. Any specials you get in here, by the way, are going to come from the wall behind you. And they can't come over the wall right there, so it's safe. All right.
So I was noticing, talking about defensive spots, that when I'm true soloing, it's often a game of trying to make it from one relatively safe spot to another and then kind of pushing as fast as I can in between. And there it is. So there's the horde call. You're past that first spot, so now you're going for a better spot?
So this spot is kind of nice because it's going to increase the density really high at the door. But it's also kind of ugly to push forward right here because it's not an uncommon what am I trying to say, Storm Vermin spot. So I'm going to try to get some Hagbane value here. But to totally hold this door requires a lot of ammo and without scavenger procs. So white weapons, you can't hold it indefinitely. So we'll get some value and retreat. It's normally 1 shot. It's 2 shots right now to kill a pack. So if you have to clutch dog a pack, it's best to push or hold block rather than try to use hit stun to protect yourself there. If you try to use hit stun, you're going to get your hit absorbed by the Packmaster, and then you're going to get attacked by the rats behind you. So this is just normal corner wall scoot stuff here.
I notice you're not checking behind you very much here. Are you confident that you're not pulling ambience?
100%.
Just know that's how it works.
Exactly right. Unless they don't come. There's like nothing that ever spawns close enough.
One thought I have about True Solo is that sometimes it can look lucky or careless, but there's also just a vast amount of map knowledge and long experience that goes into these quick decisions.
So this spot is ugly. There's another ogre trigger. So we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but in the very beginning there's an ogre trigger by that first drop down, and there's a second one by that safe spot I told you about. And it's very typical to get the horde at the same time, just because it kind of coincides, and it's just ugly. There's another common ogre spot right as you walk in here. So if you have stuff alive, you do not go in there until you're ready. It's right like here.
Yeah, and I can hear the horde in my mind right now. The ogre call.
If you get it, you pull back and you cycle.
You mean pull back to the open area and
yes,
deal
exactly.
with them? Kite it as long as you need to.
Yes, and you have unlimited ammo. So long as you have a ranged anti-ogre weapon, it's pretty clean.
Right.
I used to play more defensive against assassins, like try to hold for a long time. The issue becomes they get in these like stable patterns, and then you have to play this game of hide and go seek, and it's nerve-wracking and tiring. And you're always risking other ads on top of it, which will make it harder. So I tend to push pretty aggressively into assassin spawns now.
That makes sense. It might be something where you have to have your assassin dodging and instincts for when to push and when to attack on point.
Oh, there's right behind us. that little coffin area. It looks like a safe holdout spot. It is awful. There's two fences. There's two fences there, or walls, that assassins do insta pounces from. It's knowing where they're going to insta pounce and positioning relative to that is one of those, like you were saying, those long experience things. I don't normally come all the way over here. I did it for MO because I don't have any MO sustain.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're pushing forward through some ambience.
This is another less common ogre trigger right up ahead. You can also get it in the catacomb area coming up ahead. If you do, you pull out. The bottom line for ogre is you don't want to take him where you can't move. The specials that come here, they tend to come from where we just came, or from the left of the door of where we're going. It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, that little kind of cul-de-sac, right?
Yeah.
So you're coming in for some hagbang value, and hopefully you can get out again.
It's gonna be fine. This is, I could hold this melee only. So one of the biggest reasons I come into a spot like this to do a horde is because you're so safe from assassins in there.
Right. So you can take it one at a time. One threat at a time.
Yeah.
And you would joust to hold that spot, right? You can't.
You would actually end up probably cornering and a little bit of wall scoot. The thing is, without white weapons, normally your kill speed, even in Death Wish, is so high, they don't stack up to the part where they start overwhelming your hit stun very often.
Right.
Like, so you wouldn't be able to hold a joust the whole time. They'd force you back to the wall, but then you just abuse the slot system. So, in here, until you get to the big open area, specials come from where you came in.
We just heard the patrol, right?
Yes. So, I'm not in a rush because I know they're not that close.
Yeah, and it's easy to dodge them here.
Yep. That was... It's usually not that hard to dodge gas rats, right? Like, you do a little stutter step and pull back. I've found it hasn't been incredibly consistent lately. That ammo pickup was a mistake, by the way. But like I was saying, look where both these specials are coming from. Look, they're coming down the stairs. And there it is. Packmaster, push or block while you're doing it. Oh my goodness. And they have a cooldown in between their grab attempts, but it's very dangerous to chase them because it's hard to predict when they're going to turn around.
Because once they turn, it's fast.
Yeah. Plus, like, it feels like their turn rate isn't extremely consistent. Like, sometimes they can turn a lot faster than other times.
Yeah, I've definitely come up short on that equation many times.
So you can chase them for a little while, but if it starts getting close to, like, I don't know, I can't give you a number, but you get a feel for it.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I've noticed that in some places where I would be grasping, you know, to finish the assassin, or grasping to finish the packmaster, or grasping to pick up a bomb off the ground, which we'll see ahead, you don't. And I think grasping is something that, you know, trying too hard for a certain outcome is something that can get you killed pretty fast.
Overextension.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay, so you've heard the horde call. The plan is...
Special's almost certainly going to come the way that we came in, but it is actually... We're kind of at that halfway point where they can come from where we're going to. So you kind of want to be able to see both entrances. So I often will pick a spot that's worse against the horde and better against potential threats. That was ugly, by the way. So why was it ugly? It was ugly because they were coming into such a dense, such a tight area that even though only, 9 of them were targeted for slots, the rest of them got so close to me before they're like, oh, hey, we shouldn't be this close. They started swinging anyways.
Right, because you had to squeeze right through them, essentially.
So that would typically be a linear spot. But again, kill speed makes up for that. because you can kill so quickly when they're coming with that first initial pulse, that either with control weapons or kill speed, you can thin them before you have that problem. Alright, so this spot blows. As super blows for assassins and packmasters. They come down against the far wall. So I always stay right near this near wall and stay within the line of sight of that wall for as little as possible.
The
I
wall
did,
to your left.
yeah, but I did some funky things here because of it took me so long to get through those clan rats. In general, you always want to hug a wall. If you're hugging a wall, that's less places for ambience to get there. You can always have wall scoot right there.
Yeah, and you've kind of killed line of sight from that.
But look,
angle as well.
they both come from down this wall. They're super predictable. Sometimes. So this is ugly. So
Yeah,
when you
now
get
you've
stuck like this, you have to stay cognizant of the storm vermin and not panic. As long as you're not getting hit a million times by the clans and you dodge the overhead, you can survive.
Yeah,
But
it's getting that block broken and stunned and move slow that'll get you game right.
So block plus dodge means you get hit less. You get hit less, it means your stamina lasts longer, so you have more time to bust out. But things like hit stun, especially if you have KB, to like bust a hole, or Hagbane will help you get out faster. So it's like a judgment call. Am I trying to conserve resources, or am I trying to make an opening?
So when that storm vermin showed up and you were in that nook, you knew you had to Hagbane out of there, right? Or
Yeah.
was that just a...
Yeah. With KB, though, I probably didn't. I probably would have had such killing power it didn't even fucking matter. Okay, now normally
Right.
I go back and hold that corner we were just in. And I think that's what I'm going to choose to do here. I wanted to group them up a little more, because look how many arrows I have.
Right.
So this is the
value.
big fucking difference with white runs, is attrition.
Sustain and attrition.
I would have, you know, almost full health right now, and at least half arrows. Or I could have used Bomb Trinket to kill basically that whole horde.
Yeah, now I remember watching this before and thinking, you're close.
That easily could have turned.
Yeah. So this is rough. You're red. You're coming out into a bunch of more ambience, and you've got a strength potion.
I don't like pushing into doors before I finish my meal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I noticed you didn't want to fight on the stairs either, right? You wanted it nice and controlled.
Well, especially because then you can't see what's behind you. Okay, this is threat priority. Gunner last, clans first, so it's Storm Vermin in the middle. It's easy to bait everything but the clan rats. I came over here, I showed myself for a second to make sure the gunner started firing.
Right, because if he came and got a crossfire on you while you were fighting, it would have been a lot harder to deal with.
So I have a half a second here. He backed off so I can get over him. I drank strength because there's just no other way I had enough DPS to get right through him. And I could not afford to get stuck there with no resources. I know there's ammo right ahead and typically some sort of supply. I get so lucky with this medkit. I grab ammo. This spot's garbage. Drop to use the same holdout. I'm worried only about the assassin. That's the #1 threat. I get lucky that he's waiting for me and I can chain him down. Now I just have to survive. There's free ammo up ahead, so there's no reason not to go fucking hog wild. Dodge dancing with Hagbane.
Yeah, you talked about cornering with Hagbane, and it looks awful with all those red arrows, but look at your health, right?
Yeah.
They're not actually getting to you.
They did less damage than a single isolated slave rat hit does.
Yeah.
And it clears them really quickly, which is nice.
Especially with the white weapons, yeah, it's refreshing. So that was a bit of a difficulty spike. We're through it now.
Yeah. I prefer normal bomb because it insta-kills Packmaster. It's that simple. That's the only reason. Especially if I'm doing something like Hagbane, or whatever, like a handgun. By the way, notice that you can spam through walls. The AoE penetrates walls.
Uh-huh. Does it penetrate solid walls as well?
Yeah,
Anything?
yeah.
So kind of like swinging with a two-hander by the
Yeah.
wall.
By the way, this is the normal trick that I always use an enemy below. You jump up and down a surface, and I wanting to be on the same level as you, so you can.
So they spend their time calling.
Yeah, you can do it with Storm Vermin and Ogre. All right, so you want to be able to make this jump quickly.
Right. I'm glad you said that now.
Like, that's the ideal. And I was kind of hoping I could just do it, but I chickened out. And I think, yeah, so a second before that, you heard the little dull roar before the horde comes. It's really important to have good headset and turn the volume to bleeding. Storm Vermin plus clans are so much more dangerous than either of them in isolation. The Storm Vermin, like, I don't know what that was, by the way. Did you see a little flicker?
No.
It's kind of weird. So I kind of like went through the geometry for a sixth of a second. So I'm trying to spread this out a little bit so I can kill the Storm Vermin. Normally it only takes 4 charge shots to kill Storm Vermins. So I was trying to thin it out so I could finish off the Storm Vermin, but it's just I can't get a chance to do it.
Well, you got there in the end. It took you had to take your time though. Oh, that was.
So I need to, again, make sure the Storm Vermins don't pin me. I need to make sure the gunner gets baited into a decent spot. And then I need to keep movement so I can spot the fucking assassin before he pounces me. He's probably going to come from behind us where we are right now when he respawns in.
Right. So when they respawn, is it like starting over again? The game checks the spawn points and... Do we know about that?
I don't know the details. They seem to come from more random spots when they teleport.
Yeah,
Like, he almost certainly came from forward originally. And it's very, very... I don't think I've seen too many spawns from where he is right now, ever. Though this is a spot I haven't spent as much time fighting. With Hagbane, I just try to catch him and put him into roll and then waste demo. I mean, it's totally possible to hit them, but...
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I try so hard to skip this area is there's a lot of Storm Vermin by ladder. The typical special spawn, once you kind of make it... Oh my... You can tell how stressed I am by now. This just doesn't happen. But I find that movement tricks like this that require a little bit of patience are the first thing to go. You can get pushed by a Storm Vermin right there, back over the edge, which is super annoying. Specials tend to come from right in front of us over the wall, or from down in the little pit once you get to here. So we still have one really, really awful Ogre trigger here. So right now, I still think that the game's over, because I still think what's going to happen is I'm going to get Hedge Ogre, and it's going to be over. And I have six arrows.
Get a horde, right?
Yeah.
So you did go down.
Yep. So normal game, where I'd actually have a chance of killing Ogre, I wouldn't have done that.
Hmm.
But
This
since
is more like
this is
a
like,
gamble.
I'm already gonna get screwed anyways. So here, this is a perfect example where if you up DPS, even when you go into a choke like this, where they absolutely would tighten up to like unmanageable density, you clear them so quickly that you don't end up with that problem. So DPS,
Pile up, yeah.
yeah, DPS trumps bad positioning here, and it makes what would be a bad position the best possible position, because you can, the specials don't come over behind you here. They'll come from either side or the wall to your right, so you can see everything. When I'm comfortable with my weapons, I'm usually sacrificing positioning against the threats I already know about to have some modicum of safety against the threats that might come.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got about 30% of your brain dedicated to where are the specials potentially going to come from as you go through the whole run.
So that's one of the reasons I go right here, because the specials come over from the left, and so you have more time to react. They can come over this wall to your right, though. And if they do, if you get an assassin behind you, he insta-pounces. So if you're around an insta-pounce wall, what you have to do is make sure there's some obstacle between you and it at all.
Right. It doesn't take much of an obstacle either. It
Yes.
feels to me.
Like a little fence is all it takes.
Yeah, really helpful.
Okay, so right here is a pretty wide corner, right? And he could come from either side because you heard him teleport. So I aggressively
So
push.
you're bailing on that one.
Yes. Pushing up, I try to look behind me and use dodges and jumps so I can look both ways as I'm jumping. You're safer on the ground though because you can still, you know, move. So you see this little column in front of me?
Yeah.
If I hug it tight enough,
That's your insurance policy, right?
from out in front of me, exactly, in case like the assassin comes right behind him and leaps before I see him. And even though I spotted him right there, I didn't go for the shot because it takes him a second to like wind up, right? So by wattling him, by cornering him for a second, I basically ensured that he wouldn't start doing the wind up process while I got the aim. So we got lucky as hell, no ogre. 0 arrows, by the way. There's an item spawn back there. There's one beneath us, and there's... Well, I think I actually use it here, so I'll just show you when I use it.
So here's an example of you not pulling that storm vermin, right?
Yes.
And why?
I wanted to finish my meal.
Right.
Because I wanted to use this tight spot, and you don't want to fight a storm vermin here, because you can't dodge very well. Normally I would have pulled everything. Because cockiness. But also because pace is important. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's been a while since we've had a horde. We're overdue for a horde. Once you start the event, you stop getting random hordes. So the faster I can get this done, the more likely it is I can avoid that extra horde.
Gotcha.
Time
So
equals
you're
risk.
balancing thinning out the floor against another horde.
Exactly. So there is an ammo down there. So at some point I should say, okay, enough is enough. But you also noticed
regaining your nerves as well.
I was just going to say that. Exactly. So remember how I screwed up the grave jump?
Yeah.
That freaked me out a little bit.
They've not given up. Not yet.
I've been there after epic fights to get to the tower on ramparts, and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm actually here. Now what? Can I play normally, or am I too distracted by the way I got here?
Two special issues. One is kind of like to the right of the door of where we're going, and the others come down from where we came.
The initial drop down?
Yeah, they come from over there. Like if you get gunners, for example, they can spawn just in the middle of the damn floor too, but that's like somewhat rare. So I could stay there, I could drop down. I choose here. Remember I have an ammo below me, so there's no reason not to go hog wild. And I
These guys.
yes, and I also tend to choose up there because it gives you longer, better lines of sight that are also protected against long assassin leaps.
Right.
There's a Slovateer nearby.
So there's your special. Where'd he come from? He dropped down right from where he came.
Right.
They call these arrows. They'll have to do.
One of the reasons I like trying to finish gas rats instead of trying to bait the shot is one, it feels a little inconsistent these days, but two, noise pollution. They make so much fucking noise. It's the same reason I hardly use potions, right?
Because of how heavily you're relying on the sound cues.
Exactly. Like, at this point, it's mostly about making the things that are hard or really dangerous slightly less so, as opposed to making the things that are easy, easier.
Right. That's what you were saying about the positioning earlier, right?
Yes.
You could sacrifice perfect positioning against the horde for an edge against the unknown.
This is a good spot. If you ever have to kite this whole area, if you come around clockwise and you come up that ladder, almost everything will go up towards the first chain again and come over that wall to our right.
So it's a bit of a waterfront repath
Yes.
deal.
though it's not very good against Ogre in here. So that got ugly. And the reason it got ugly is one clan rat didn't die, like refused to die.
Right.
When you come down there, if you just walk and land in the middle of that platform, rats, as they kind of waterfall down, you can't get around them, you can't dislodge them unless you kill them. It's just, so you kind of try to take it wide.
Gotcha.
And this easily could have been the end.
Yeah. Get a little bit of distance to try again.
And this is no move speed trinket skirmisher blah blah blah. This is just elf doing elf things. Watch the special placing or pathing. Basically, all the specials will come up that stairs. That's why you like holding it from first chain.
Right.
There's a Globadier nearby.
So, notice that all those extra moves that were pretty risky were only necessary because of mechanical issues. So when I say mechanical issues, I mean like you make mistakes during the engagements and take damage when you probably didn't need to. Mechanical issues plus attrition with white runs, right? Force positioning. They force you to try to kite. They force you to try to pick other spots that are worse against specials and stuff. So the importance of really good mechanical play is, again, it lets you play safer. So we're going to do this little shit again.
Hopefully with more success.
This one was okay.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, that was the other one.
I was actually pretty surprised.
I thought you were going to take fall damage there.
Yeah, all these columns you can hold. You can hold into and reset, well, fall reset. The important one is by chain 4. The tops of the other side. So I'm moving. Like, the gunner is the last priority, but you still have to be really aware of what he's doing. If you ever get, like, sandwiched by a gunner that manages to start shooting, it's like... He interrupts your movements, he's hard to get around, it's just, ugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do have a slow turning radius, though. Like, so sometimes the best thing to do is to run right at them and go around them as they're spinning up.
I'm not very good at that. I usually misjudge how soon I can get there, and then if you're not within like 10 rat meters, you can't outturn them, it seems. You have to get right up.
You have to be very close because you need to be changing, you know, your theta faster than he can change his theta.
Yeah.
There's a Globadier nearby.
It's a angular velocity question.
You got the lore book entry.
It goes 1 over a radius, guys. It's linear. So I trigger. That's the important column to know.
No, but the viewers are gonna know what's up with the lore book entry. That was out of character.
Oh, did I grab one? I
Yeah.
think it was to mess with people.
Maybe it's because you knew you weren't gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this foreboding dread.
So again, that's special. Look where he came from. He came from where we came down.
I find it easy to get disoriented in this part of the map.
Really?
Yeah, I get like, well, you know, it's columns and staircases. But the fact that the specials are largely contained to those 2 spawn locations makes it an excellent reason to keep your bearings.
A good chunk of them. And the worst offender is Packmaster. And Gas Rat will be right behind that door. Plus, the last horde will tend to bunch up there. So I really try to save a bomb for it. And I always try to take this chain or the chain below it last so I can get on these stairs and funnel everything.
Because this is the best of all the...
I mean, this is the best I ever could have hoped to have been exiting this event.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not throwing it. I didn't see. I do not know where he came from. He was really early. The drop-down trick with medkit, super critical.
Yeah.
Even if the drop-down is super minuscule, as long as you're not right next to it. And if you dodge off and pull out your medkit, you can start healing mid-dodge, but you have to make sure you put some distance between you and the edge. else they will waterfall on top of you, and it's over. Okay, lots of resources, speed potion, near full health, 27 arrows. This is, again, good. By the way, this is very long for a typical run for me right now. This is like going on 30 minutes.
And that's almost entirely because it's a white run, right?
100%. If I gotta run this good with anything else, it would have been over 10 minutes ago. Okay, triple. Is that triple or double? Triple Storm Vermin. That is insane. There's like no way that should be true. That almost never happens. And an assassin. Like, this is beyond worst case scenario. And I didn't get my run by with speed pod up. Because if you dodge, you don't get any of the key. So interrupt. It only takes 2 body shots normally, but it's going to take 4 or something with white weapons. Hoping the fire patch slows it down.
This
and
is
done.
desperation mode. Oh, yeah.
And
Ooh.
that's how fast it turns.
Yeah.
Triple Storm Vermin. So what can we talk about here? Post-event, you can get a Horde. You absolutely can get Horde in special spawns. Like, it goes back to normal. The better decision-making there would have been to pull back to Triple Storm Vermin. Triple Storm Vermin, I should have just unloaded my clip, pulled back, restocked on ammo, and started again. That was
used the chains area to kite it out with
that,
infinite ammo.
Yes, but this was absolutely a 730 kills, 30 minutes of stress moment where I said, you know, okay, well, it's 3 Storm Vermin, but I can outrun 3 Storm Vermin in Clan Rats. I've got a speed pot, and I've got a bomb.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was reasonable to think you could just kind of kite scoot your way to the cart.
The only thing that it was the assassin spawn on top of everything else. Like any other special, that would have been a viable decision.
Yep.
And sometimes it's just that simple.
Well, it's also that tunnel is like
assassin shoot.
Yeah, one big line of sight that you can't do anything about, especially if you're having to keep ahead of the clans and storms.
So you won't be able to go back and look with me, but I'm back. I don't know if you will be. I'm at 30 minutes again. 30 minutes and 3 seconds. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Because I had...
Okay.
And I jumped to 36, so I just shot the Storm Vermin. I'm looking at 50% slowdown or something. So what I wanted to point out is that there is one move you normally can do in this situation, but it actually tends to work a little better with the move speed trinket. I did it in Khazad Crow. It's the not Khazad, what was it? Cursed Rune. It's the crab walk. So basically, you know, you're in a tunnel type area, right? But not a total tunnel. And you can't spend enough focus. Like, there's just too many things to see what's going on to point out the assassin and time dodge it. So what you would try to do is you try to dodge back and forth at like close to a 90 degree of where you expect the assassin to come from.
So you're playing the odds, hoping that you are the best moving target you can be.
But I was hoping this bomb would give me a few seconds, and I started playing. And then I'd be able to start dodge crab walking right here. So I'd start going in, but it was like a second too late. I should have cut left there. I should have, I overvalued the fire bomb, and that was the other thing.
Right, so if you'd cut left, you would have cut off his angle a little bit.
Yes, and then as soon as I saw him, I probably could have done a clutch block, a dodge. Once an assassin misses, and he turns to fire again, it's like his timing is very predictable. It's very telegraphed. He's going to turn. He's going to start crawling. Blah blah blah. Okay, well, enough.
So it's pre-pounce. That's the dread moment.
Yes, exactly. It's once you spot him, the risk of dying to assassin goes down so much. But it's everything you can do to give you an edge of seeing him before he's already in the air. Assassin, go fuck yourself.
All right, so
what else?
Transferables versus non-transferables. So, I mean, one of the things we showed you guys, hopefully, is how much prior knowledge and, you know, hard-won experience / brutally won experience / tears adds up to survivability in true solo. But what about the white run? So what's the value of doing a white run, and what does it bring to the fore versus other kinds of challenge?
So one of the things I was doing a month ago was famine runs. Part of it was responding to the bomb trinket issue. Like the bomb trinket, less so for Hagbane than any other setup, because like you saw, Hagbane you can do the melee range dodge dance to save yourself. But bomb trinket just it's like, oh, there's a horde plus a packmaster. No, no, there isn't, and then it's okay. But that's not the real thing, because I started doing it before the patch. The thing I was having an issue with is you could make so many mechanical errors all the time in combat with significant regrowth percentages and a health drought. Long as you did a push, pull out your draft as you dodge away, drink, you can get full heal off under almost any amount of pressure, right? So like mistakes were not being punished, and I was getting sloppy with combat. Um, so one of the things that doing a white run will force you to do is to focus more on your combat, because little mistakes actually matter again. So I find the same is probably true for a party white run. Whereas a party Death Wish, even on Death Wish, you tend to either live or you die, right? Like you either spike 100 damage and you're insta dead, or you don't and you regrow through the roof and it doesn't matter.
Right. So by doing the white run, all of the emphasis is on the mechanical success or failure because it shows up right away.
Yes. And there's like no free bailout. So we can review like some of the reasons I couldn't do crab walk here is because I took so many hits on that speed run that speed pot execution. Like I tried to get absolute maximum value out of that speed pot by just doing the run by. If you do a run by under speed pot and you're too close to clan rat, they're going to get the hit off before you space the hit. And and once you get hit once, it's hard. So I took maybe 60, 70 damage in the space of 1 second. And because of that, it precluded me starting crab walk right away because I had no more space. Anyway, so that's it for Whiterun. I mean, solo, we can talk what's transferable for solo, though. I mean, like, they move to any other screen that's not me failing over and over. I'm just sitting there looking at assassin kill me.
Scroll it back to something more cheerful.
So,
go ahead.
Transferable for solo in general. I mean, the things that won't come up. Go ahead.
How do you do this in a deliberate way? Then, how do you go about mastering a map so that you can true solo it? How do you take notes on where you've seen the specials? Do you watch other people's videos? How do you think that gets done besides just playing it over and over again?
So the way I learned to play Cata when I was coming up, I watched other people play Cata. That's what I did. I watched video of a map, and then I would host that map for that day. And when I watched the video, I was taking careful notes of, where did they go, what was their pathing, and where did they hold out. And I've always been pretty good on voice comms, and I got lucky and made some pretty good play partners pretty early. So we would kind of just replicate it and start from there. So I think watching has a tremendous amount of value for learning. But a lot of it's got to be just banging your head into the wall. And every time something bad happens, you go back and once you're done raging, watch it.
Well on it, yeah.
Ask yourself what happened, where did the special come from, because it's usually a special that finally ends the run, because you can outkite everything else. And where did it come from, and what could you have done differently, and just make small adjustments, small adjustments, small adjustments. But the value of doing it once you have done it, I mean, it's kind of silly. It's like, it's like learning to lift big weights to lift small weights. But if you want to like carry pubs or just have way better win percentages on your duos and normal party runs afterwards, you'll know where all the specials are. So True Flight becomes ridiculous because you just instantly peg them.
Well, that's interesting because there's two ways I think that True Solo help you become an excellent player in Vermintide. One is this kind of map-specific knowledge. Sorry, I've got a beeping going on. Let's just pause and cut this out later.
We probably should close it sometime soon, too.
Yeah, I'll try and wrap this up. All right, 3, 2, 1. So two things I think transfer well from true solo to normal play. One would be this kind of specific knowledge you're talking about. Where do the specials tend to come from? Where's a good holdout spot? Another one is that spotlight you get on your mechanical skill, because in pub play, especially with a group that's cohesive, you're not being targeted by every single rat in play, which means that you only hit what we would call even like a light to moderate difficulty spike once in a blue moon. And so the margin for error is huge in terms of actually being able to handle
Very true.
20 rats on your own. And that just transfers beautifully, right? That means that you can clutch. That means that if your whole party decides they want to go AFK, you're there when they come back. And it's amazing because you don't need to succeed on true solo for that to happen, because it comes up really quick. Plus your basic assassin dodging, plus your basic, packmaster dodging.
Actually, you know what? Those last two plus gunner plus gas rat. That's great. So let's take both of those things. You're totally right about mechanical, but knowing and having this really intuitive feel for what the specials are going to do and being able to dodge, like the only way to learn to have something like that is deliberate practice. And you can try to just get one of the spawners, like from one of the mods, and just go to town meeting, spawn, and then just try dodging and try to get a sense for it. And that's actually a really good idea. But like, there's a difference between being able to do it when it's just that versus be able to just do it on command. So you're going to get way more practice dealing with specials. But it's even more than just the typical, like, oh, Packmaster, let me do the Packmaster dodge. It's like knowing what the gas rat is going to do. Like, it seems like it's ridiculous, but it's like you get to the point where you even know when the gas rat's going to fire, like what his arc's probably going to be, how long you can sit there for a second to try to hold the horde up so that it'll hit the horde and not you. Or like in this run, look how much manipulating gunner mattered.
Right, because they were basically a non-factor the entire run.
So those little things, they only come up a little bit when you're in full party play in Cata, but they definitely also will come up if you try to push Death Wish, or whenever we decide to release Insanity, or what the mod Grim's working on. And the other big thing is kiting. So something Elf can do, and other high mobility characters can do, and it doesn't come up as much as it should anymore, but hopefully with some nerfs, I know I'm going to get some hate on this, but anti-ogre nerfs, this comes up more. Being able to take the aggro of an ogre and just say, okay guys, you take care of what you need to, and when you're done, we can take care of the ogre, and reliably do that and not lose the aggro, makes your party so much more likely to survive a whole bunch of circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so a lot of this comes down to dealing with high difficulty situations and not losing your cool because you've done it.
Yeah,
more than once per month. It just kind of becomes a little more routine. But all the good Vermintide players can take an ogre, even with a pretty bad ping, and just kind of keep him out of the fight and not die. That's a huge skill to have in pub play.
Especially if you can do that while true fighting the specials that aren't on you at the same time.
Yeah, that's more advanced. When you're almost no-looking the ogre and taking care of other business at the same time, then you're really really comfortable. Yeah. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's our first attempt at a dual commentary. If there's any questions you'd like to see asked in the next kind of thing, next attempt, let us know if there's a kind of question we missed. And if we should do more of these, let us know as well. We'll post the link to the Reddit discussion and put it up on YouTube, I think. Any closing words?
Thanks for watching. I'm sure no one's still here. This can't possibly have been that interesting. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pyro. All right, stream.